So we're going to look at a little bit of mechanics. We're going to be lying down on the floor because one, you're completely supported, so you don't have to worry about it. It's the simplest starting point for breathing. There's a couple of things we can just do immediately to change things, to help you do mechanics. And when we assessed your mechanics, it was very much like, it felt like upper chest and being a little bit vertical and a bit one dimensional. So if you put your hands back to those two positions, and I want you to just completely lie there, supported by the floor, just take a couple of breaths, in and out through the nose, and just notice, just let them be, don't try to make them any particular size or anything, just notice what's moving. Can you feel, I can see, can you feel like that lower hand raising up towards the ceiling? So even just in this supported position, the movement is a little bit more from down here. Okay, so that's a good starting point. But that hand just moving vertically is a little bit one-dimensional.
Right.
And our rib cage and our diaphragm want to work in synchronization together. We want to have a three-dimensional expansion to our rib cage. Your ribs meet together around your sternum at the front, they go all the way and connect into your spine at the back. We want that movement to be coming all around, not just in one direction. When we breathe in, the diaphragm moves down and flattens out. And in doing so, we want the rib cage to facilitate that movement that it's able to go into. Okay? Whereas when the stomach's just moving up and down, we're lacking the right sort of mechanical movement or mechanics of the rib cage. Okay, so to start with, you're going to you can rest your hands down by sides. You're going to bend your knees, put your feet flat.
So that's the same even when you just relax breathing, to have that the mechanics, just to practice those no matter what time of the day. So you're relaxed, you're chilled, so to make sure that you're not just sort of one-dimensionally breathing, that you're using the whole of your breath mechanics the whole time.
Yeah. So we're gonna try to work in the easiest position, but then progress ourselves to be able to breathe well when you're sat up, breathe well when you're standing up. But actually, what we really want to be able to do is be able to breathe well when you're doing life.
Yes.
Not thinking about your breathing. Just with your hands, just have a feel of what does your ribs feel like in terms of how much do they feel like they're sort of sticking up or projecting forward out of your rib cage, and then also have a feel of what does your lower back feel like. So we get an understanding that our rib cage and our pelvis are linked in together.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you put your fingers on the front of your pelvis.
Yeah.
And then if you try and push your sternum towards the ceiling. So lift it, push it, don't worry about the breathing, just push your sternum towards the ceiling. Makes a big arch in your lower back, you feel that, and you feel your pelvis rolls forward.
Yeah.
Then if you pull your sternum down towards the floor, you'll get that flattening of your back, your pelvis will tuck underneath a little bit, and if you just do that a couple more times, just get an awareness of how your rib cage position affects your spine, affects your pelvis, and even around your head, that sternum changing will also affect your neck. You'll feel So the alignment, when we talk about mechanics, I've already mentioned like rib cage expansion. Where that rib cage is starting from is a really important point. Not just how it expands, getting the rib cage in line so that we've got some good postural setup allows for a better expansion of the rib cage, particularly into the back portion, so the posterior portion of the rib cage is where we often lack movement because we spend lots of time in more extension and open type position, particularly those of us that I'm assuming you work out a little bit.
Every now and again.
Couple of sit-ups every now and again. Okay, so if you bend your knees, put your feet flat, and then just immediately, just have a feel for yourself. What does that do?
I can feel it straight away.
So that's just changing. So practicing in this shape is just going to help with that spine and pelvis alignment a little bit. It can help flatten the ribs ever so slightly. It can help keep the pelvis in a slightly more neutral position. If you just keep your hands just relaxed on the outside of your ribs, just real gentle, okay? And then also you can feel where your head is on the floor. I want you to feel the weight of your upper back on the floor. I want you to feel the weight of your bum on the floor and the weight of your feet on the floor.
Yeah.
Okay? And then bring your awareness to the connection, your back, your mid-back, your thoracic, where your ribs are connecting into your spine. How does that feel on the floor? And what I want you to try and do is, ever so gently, pull your sternum down towards the floor. You might feel you push through your hamstrings or your feet gently. Just gently, 3%, 5%, maybe less, you're a big, strong guy, 1%. pull the ribcage down towards the floor so you feel more pressure
Yeah.
in your thoracic spine, in that mid-back on the floor. You can feel that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now on the inhale and the exhale, keep that connection of the ribcage to the floor, and as you breathe in, you'll notice that, yes, the belly will rise a little bit and there'll be that movement forward, but you probably can get a sense of like widening here, and potentially breathing into the back. Now don't make the breath now noisy because you're just focusing in on it. Keep the mouth closed softly, teeth aren't touching, so that jaw's relaxed, tongue's to the roof of the mouth. You breathe in through the nose, but you keep that ribcage consciously connected to the floor. That pressure sense you can get, like I can feel my back on the floor more than normal, is keeping your spine and your ribcage in line, or I'd say like keeping it on line. And then as you breathe in, you feel a widening as well as the movement up. And you should also be able to feel that you're breathing into the back. So as I breathe in, I can feel air going into the back of the ribcage, and you know that because you can feel that pressure, almost the ribs pushing on the floor a little bit more.
It's so funny.
Okay.
I've never felt breathing in my back before.
That's a but do you appreciate that, like those ribs, because this is particularly like when you're demonstrating breathing to a group.
Yeah.
You don't turn around and show them your
No,
back.
that's right.
We see all the ribs at the front. It's very easy to track your ribs around and see they're connected to the back. So the lung sits within that, and the back portion is somewhere that we should be able to breathe into. But we get tight through there for a number of different reasons. This will help actually with some thoracic and shoulder mobility potentially as well. Okay, so as you inhale, your order is going to be, you feel the diaphragm moving and descending down, the ribs widening and breathing into the back. I want you to keep the breath as quiet as possible, ideally so quiet you can't even hear it. Nice and slow and quiet on the exhale too. Good. Just take a few more breaths like that. That's giving you the chance to feel a more three-dimensional expansion of your rib cage whilst it's in the right position, supported by the floor, so it's easy for your postural muscles to support you. You don't have to do so much, but also keep on using the ground as a little bit of external feedback, so you can feel where is my back in connection to the floor. When you can feel your back pushing into the floor, you know that rib cage is online, and you know you're breathing into that posterior portion. Your hands gently on the sides here, let you feel, okay, there's some movement up, but that's not the only movement. It's not one dimensional. I can feel the ribs expanding out to the sides as well. Very simple exercise to do to help people work on their mechanics, but a really key one in terms of cueing and understanding what are the sensations, what are the feelings that you're trying to achieve with it. Hopefully those follow along at home can get a sense of where their ribcage is on the floor. They can see and feel the difference. Like 1 or 2 breaths with that connection of the ribcage to the spine, you can start to feel that the ribs are expanding.
Oh,
more
totally. You can feel it on the first breath.
Yeah.
Especially with your hands here, because whereas beforehand when we were sat down, it was very frontal, but immediately the ribs are expanding out, and especially with the sort of grounding onto with the feet. As I said, it's the first time I felt breathing in my back before.
And there'll be a purpose for you to help with sleep of practicing a little bit like this before you go to bed, and ideally like lying in your bed, like you're not going to get much feedback from the mattress because it's a lot softer than the floor, so a little bit like on a harder surface first would be great. With the down regulation breathing I'm going to get you to do as well to just help calm that mind, to send you off to sleep a little bit easier, will be paired in with this. In terms of your mechanics, trying to get a case of like practicing here in isolation, away from any challenge of like, you can close your eyes, you've got no challenge from anything else and support by the floor, but then it's like, okay, eyes open, can I be distracted by the world around me, can I do it? And then can I do it sat upright? Then can I do it standing? Can I do it where I can't, there's nothing touching my back, but can I still create that sensation of feeling that? So we try to take people through a progressive way to integrate it into everyday life, and then for people that are sportsmen and women I work with, or training people that work out and training stuff, is going like, can you get a sense of that nice three-dimensional expansion where your ribcage is in line when you're not, one, supported by the floor, and two, upright and in more functional moving type of shapes, and you haven't got anything on your back. There's a progressive, simple, rational way to get us from floor to real life. And it's a big point for me to people watching that learning, this is a great starting point, but if it finishes here, it's not gearing you to breathe well when you're stressed or when you're exercising and when you're upright.
No.
But it gives you a sense of what you're supposed to be able to feel and connect to.
Definitely feel a sense of centering as well, just doing that, because you're focusing on different areas as well, so it automatically stops you from going outside of you.
It's mindfulness.
You're very much,
it is.
very much is.